So are we still calling this Miracle Camp, even though it's Camp Mission Doa, or however you...
What a dumb name, huh? I like, is that some kind of Indian word? And Mark looked it up and he's like, the combination of Michigan and something else. Well, that's not...
Kathy was trying to figure out where we were going to be going after we heard the movie.
We're looking at the camera now.
They got a horse over here.
Oh, yeah.
Instructions.
How are you?
But see if we have food, that's what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Where's their horse at? Oh, it's like a workhorse.
Don't make me come out there.
I don't think either team's making much progress.
Get in there, Vaughn! Get in there, Vaughn!
No chance, little kids play for a while.
Aaliyah, did you win?
Oh, the little kids are on both sides. There's some...
No, let me see this for 1 second. 1 second. Boom! Oh! 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 Whoa! Wait a minute! Boink! Boink! You miss me, you miss me. Yeah, oh! She's out! 1, 2, 3!
Something else going on.
We're going to take a little walk back in time here and maybe remember some of those better memories, you know, as we're building new ones here. Like, you know, what's up with this whole bed bug thing, you know, like, everyone knows this camp's nicer. We wanted to come here in the first place, didn't we? All right, okay, so we had to come up with this lame bed bug story and something. All right, well, hey, I'd like to ask, we got a special guest here tonight. Many of you may know her, Aunt Martha. Will you stand up? And she said she'll stand up if she can. That's for Aunt Martha. Okay, enough of them, she said something.
Wisconsin, not quite as she said, but he thinks about it.
You know, the thing about this Paul guy, he cleans all these, or fixes all these Packers shoes. He doesn't even like the Packers. What a guy. That's a real guy right there. All right, and Steve.
Steve didn't wait to be...
All right, so anyway, Steve here. Everybody knows Steve. Tickle Monster Steve. Can you give it up for my brother? Some of you guys have a scene here. Steve, I got to talk to you though a little bit here about this whole controversy earlier today. This was not rehearsed, so this is coming from the heart of my brother who I love. Bob, you love him too, right? I mean,
without a doubt.
You know, he's a great guy, funny guy, looks a little stern right now, but what do you think about this whole controversy with the sing-along thing? And, you know, we kept getting fouls called on us, and I saw some looks on your face.
I can explain. It all goes back to Rick. This whole thing about him moving to Alaska. This whole thing about him moving to Alaska. Get away from the mic. Has anybody seen his place? Has anybody visited him in Alaska?
No.
No. We called him out, and his brother has been after us ever since. There was some unfair calls made today. It goes back to Rick. He doesn't live in Alaska.
All right, well, you know, there you go, Steve. And I think he pretty much summed up that whole controversy thing. There's a link there, I think, Bob, between this whole, you know, some of you heard me earlier, what I think is going on with Rick. This is what I heard, and I think it's true. I heard, because I saw on the History Channel, did you guys see this about the whole Elvis thing, that he's still alive? Just aired recently? And they showed Elvis, an aged Elvis, and in the back of there was his cook. What do you think it was? It was Rick. Rick is not in Alaska, he's cooking for Elvis, Bob.
I think it's true. Like, okay, Jim, why don't you tell everyone what's going to take place right now.
Well, what we have here, what we epidemiology. How many of you, like me, have heard Barb interviewed on the radio just by chance? I am. Hold on.
We're switching.
All right. Well, anyway. So she's in the epidemiology, and that's a big word. Are we ready? We're good. Okay. We were told to stall here. How do we do stalling? We're just starting out with the whole. So I think what we'll do is just go around here, and you guys take control. We'll help you if you look like you need some help. You know, if you need some help, we'll step in and help you. We're not going to leave you hanging.
So we're going to ask Aunt Martha some questions because none of us out here have been around to experience what Aunt Martha has experienced. Aunt Martha has brought to us a culture that is so rich and valuable and wonderful for each of us. But we don't all know that much about it. Am I echoing? No. Don't eat the mic? No, you're good. Eat the mic? So some of the older cousins, we're going to just ask Aunt Martha questions about days gone by. And see if we can dig and delve a little bit and find out a little bit more about what's created all of this. So here, we'll have that. I get to ask a question. First question that comes to my mind, Aunt Martha, is, we have so much to do these days. We can watch television, we can be on the internet, and we can go to so many things and drive. Everybody, all of us and our children have all got their own cars, and you guys didn't have television, didn't have a computer set. What in the world did you do with your time? What did you do all day long?
We were busy too. But you know something, I think you guys have missed a whole lot that we experienced. I remember our entertainment was one of our friends had a car, and we would each chip in 5 cents in order to go for a ride. And so we would ride around the city, and that would be our entertainment. Or on Sunday night after church, there was a corner drugstore, and we'd all head to the corner drugstore, and we'd buy a pint of ice cream, and we'd walk around the neighborhood eating our pint of ice cream. We did a lot of fun things, and we sang a lot. And we were kind of a church group, and we would go to somebody's house, and someone would get a piano, and before you knew it, we were singing and having a gay old time. We didn't miss what you guys had, but we didn't know it existed, and so we didn't miss it. We just really had a good time.
Well, okay, on that note, then, how did you meet Uncle Bill? And where did you meet him, and how did you end up in Flint? And where are you from originally?
Well, it so happened that Fred and Bill and Dave used to come to what was known as the Brotherhood Conferences. Now, some of you know what that was. A group of people who gathered together periodically to hold a conference. And these folks came from Russia, most of them. And they were one of that group, and they would come to the conferences. Well, it was during the war, and Bill and Fred, there were 5 of them in their family that were in the war at the same time. And Bill and Fred and Dave and Carl and Paul were all in the Army or in the Navy or whatever. And Ella started writing to Fred, And one day she said to me, you know, Bill's in the Army too. Maybe you ought to write to him. So I said, Ellen and Fred took the initiative, yes.
But Ellen wrote to Fred first?
That I can't say for sure, but yeah, I wrote to Dad because someone told me that he was lonely, and so I was going to do my Christian duty and cheer up this guy. And so that's how we met, and I'll never forget the first time I actually saw him after he came home from the war. We had a conference in Port Huron, Michigan, and he came with his dad. And I remember I was excited to meet this guy. I had seen him before, but I hadn't really interacted with him at all. So anyway, he came out of the church door, and here was this group of girls, Ella and Adeline and Emma and I and some others, and waiting to meet Bill. And he took one look at that group of ladies, and he turned around and said, "Let's get out of here."
Well, let's give it up for Fred Herwaldt.
Scene in the sound of music. They don't come out, and the sirens start going. Search for the Fred Herwaldt.
Mr. Jones' inability to fall asleep leads to his compulsive channel surfing. Little does he know that he has entered the world of the twilight zone of Herwaldt TV.
Good job, Mark.
You unlock the story, the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the twilight zone.
Next.
Hello everyone, welcome to Herwaldt's Got Talent. Today our judges are Lauren and Cameron. Give it up for these lovely judges today. Our first act is the Ohio fan base, led by Frank Eugene.
So he has to do the sound.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
No, we were talking about thank you to the sound people.
Emphasis though, maybe next year work on your routine a little bit.
I mean,
You're cute.
I'm glad one part of my body enjoyed that. That was the missing eye.
Come on, they were cute.
No, they weren't. Mayo.
Really awesome.
Does anything good come from Ohio?
Molly, it's so funny. Molly says it all the time.
Ohio have a bad
right, moving on from that, that was something else. Next we have Jim Herwaldt, who is singing for us today.
All right.
Jim.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York. These vagabond shoes are longing to stray right through the very heart of it. New York, I wanna wake up in a city that never sleeps and find I'm king of the hill, top of the heap.
That's great. That's great. Oh, don't leave yet. We didn't
Where are you going, Jim? You join the stage.
Welcome to the Children's Singing Hour with the Herwaldt. Come on, children! If you consider yourself a child, feel free. Herwaldt, I know you're a child, and come on, you can help me too. We're going. This is an infomercial on how to teach your children to sing like a Herwaldt. Okay, kids. Now we know it's all about getting the body moving and motions. And are you ready to follow me? You gotta help me out. Get excited. Okay. Is this all the children we have? Okay, we're going to teach you a song that will help you also learn the Bible, which is always really good for Herwaldt children, right? Yeah! Okay, so this tells the story of the spies that went to Canaan. And you got to use your hands to help you do the song, because there were 12 spies. 10 fingers, 2 ears makes 12. We do math on this show too. Okay, come on here. Let's show them how to do this. Now you have to hold on to your ears, put out your hands, and it goes like, if you know this song, help me out. Okay, it goes like this. 12 men went to spy on Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. What did they see when they went to Canaan? 10 were bad and 2 were good. Some saw giants, big and tall. Some saw grapes from clusters fall. Some saw columns overall. 10, 12 women, 2 were bad, 2 were good. Okay, woo, got to catch my breath here. Now we're going to do a little faster. Are you ready? Yeah! Bad and 2 were good. Some saw giants, big and tall. Some saw grapes from clusters fall. Some saw crowd was overall. 12 men went to spy on Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. When they got to Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. Okay, wait a minute. Can you do it faster? Yeah! Okay. Really, really fast, because this is how you teach Herwaldt children to sing. Really fast! Okay, all right, are you ready? 12 men went to spy on Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. What did see when they got to Canaan? 10 were bad and 2 were good. Some saw giants, big and tall. Some saw grapes from clusters fall. Some saw God was overall. 12 men went to spy on Canaan, 10 were bad. What's good? Get on the DVD special that Nick is going to tell you about today.
Yes, thank you, Joella. We have a special offer tonight of 2 DVDs of Joella teaching children to sing. But wait, that's not all. For $19.95, we will also throw in a second DVD that includes teaching children to sing in German. And the crowd brought Boogie!
Welcome to the HMO, the Herwaldt Medical Hour. Welcome medical expert, Dr. Andy Egger, married to Laura Gothrow Egger, daughter of Judy, an original cousin.
So I have a question. I have a son that has a knee injury, and I'm just kind of wondering, is this some kind of knee injury that might be genetically related to the Herwaldt family tree of weak knees?
Well, in the extensive preparation that I've done for this show, having read the MRI report, I think it was because he was playing football in the backyard and got fallen. I have weak knees as well, so I'm not sure if it's a Herwaldt matter. Is there any other questions? Click.
Dick Van Dyke there.
Good evening, America. This is the Herwaldt Headline News. I'm Robert Herwaldt.
And I'm Patricia.
This is for October 6, 2012. Our first headline for today: Sue Herwaldt's cookie stock prices have soared after becoming the official baker for the Detroit Tigers.
I don't know what secret ingredient she has put into those cookies, but they did a great job this fall.
Patricia, I understand she came on just as the Tiger began winning more games. They turned their season around with Sue Herwaldt's cookies.
What do you think?
That's what the rumor says.
Okay, what's the next headline?
Our next headline is Mark Herwaldt, with the help of the Herwaldts worldwide, has gathered enough donations to buy a conference center.
That is phenomenal. That's exactly what we need. Herwaldt reunions twice a year, folks. Let's get it from Mark Herwaldt. Hey, our next headline, folks. This is phenomenal. We have the presidential election going on, but for the first time here in America, a write-in candidate by the name of Lou Herwaldt could win the presidency this year. It is phenomenal. What do you think?
Well, it's remarkable. I mean, has that ever happened in the history of this country? No, it hasn't.
What do you've been following that whole story from the beginning. What is happening in the Herwaldt camp?
Well, you know, I've been following Lou around for a while now, and Lou is a remarkable person, but really he is just symbolic of the entire Herwaldt clan. You know, he's hardworking. He came from immigrant parents, came to this country with nothing, and built an empire.
Not only that, but he is really a good-looking young guy. Would you agree with that? Older guy.
Thank you for coming back after commercial break. We are so glad that we have gotten close to being done with our crowdfront, you know, and I've been working with you guys so much better at cutting up the onions and everything. Now we're ready to put these crossbars together. Okay. So each of you need to take your little bit of dough, roll it out really thin, and we're picky. Put a little more flour there, and then you have to make sure drain that filling good. So there you go. Now everyone, this is the biggest thing that the Herwaldts make, and these girls really wanted to learn. I'm glad they can be on our show tonight, this Herwaldt cooking show. And so, you know, this is great. And later on in the show, we have a special guest, Sue Herwaldt. She's coming in to tell us about the secret ingredients that makes her cooking so famous. So keep rolling, ladies. Keep rolling. You're doing great. Okay.
Sure, you got a good job, man.
I volunteered. Did the best job.
Oh, comes a bunch of kids.
Welcome to another edition of Four Guys and a Mic.
Also known as your sports news update. Brought to you by Juicy Juice. When you're on the juice, you make the news. Alright, this just in. The Detroit Lions, quarterbacked by Steve Herwaldt, really took it to the Doug Herwaldt and the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of discrepancy though. There was some wild play calling done, and the replacement refs who came back after the initial strike ended because people complained about the normal refs because life is normal. You know, they really got involved. Jake, why don't you tell us what you don't know?
I don't know.
All right, thank you, Jake. So that is crazy.
Steroids.
Yeah, about steroids.
Speaking of steroids, this thing will work. Speaking of steroids, rumor has it that former Olivet wide receiver Frank Cugini is attempting a football comeback. I guess anything's possible when you're on the juice.
Yeah, rumor has it he was so excited to get back on the field that he was called for 3 false starts right away before the ball was snapped once.
The only false about him is the comeback.
Man, hope he's not watching us during our 2 a.m. broadcast on a Monday night. Other sports news.
I know you can't believe either that you told us about. It really was life-changing for me to hear about that, and I know we'll all become better bakers because of it, all right? Thank you so much for joining us on the Herwaldt Cooking Network, and next week we're going to learn how to make kuchen, and then the week after that is making homemade noodles. So please join us next week to make kuchen. Thank you.
Welcome to the Herwaldt History Channel. This week we're looking into the deep history of the Herwaldts. They came from Russia, even though they were German. Those Herwaldts, they all came from Russia. But you know, it didn't really start with them. This is the Herwaldt History Channel, but it all started with Catherine the Great. So we're talking a little bit about Catherine the Great tonight on the Herwaldt History Channel. Tsarina Catherine II was a German born in Stettin in Pomerania, now Cesarin in Poland. She proclaimed open immigration for foreigners wishing to live in the Russian Empire.
right, give it up for the Fred Herwaldt. I'll tell you, I don't know how they do it. Every year I come here, I'm anxious to see what they're going to do, Bob. And
Joella Kogan, Herwaldt Kogan was a good idea. Do we have time real quick to have the family units just get up? Is that possible? Joella? Okay. Lee?
So, there's no one here from the Fred Herwaldt.
Can we have the Kogans up here first? All the Kogan related. And Lee, I just want to say, Lee, I mean, you had me riveted to that story.
I can't believe you fell asleep.
I actually woke up when he started reading that.
Bob, my understanding is when this is all over tonight, we're going to turn back on that Herwaldt History Channel. We're going to have a marathon of the Herwaldt History Channel. So those of you who want to stick around, I know Bob and I will be here.
Till 4 o'clock. Okay.
So people have been asking who belongs to who. So all of you tonight hopefully will have a chance to do that. So I'm Joella Herwaldt from Herwaldt Kogan from the Fred Herwaldt clan, and my husband Lee. We've been married 34 years, and
34 years.
I'm still representative of our 4 children. Becca, and the others would be Scott, Ruth, and Chip.
You can't see what they're doing.
And this is my husband Cameron.
Cameron.
And our Freddie and Jody are our kids, and they're the super blonde ones.
And this is our 10th year of marriage.
Stephen, come on up. All the Stephen Herwaldt clan, come on up and be recognized.
10 years, baby. Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
This is even better than the Herwaldt History Channel, don't you agree?
I agree. Not really.
There will be a test on these names. Okay, I'm the second. I wish my brother Fred was here. I miss him. And did any Okay. I'm Stephen Herwaldt, and this is my wife of 39 years.
Been married for 39 years.
Oh, you said that.
I totally forgot, because I did say it over 3 seconds ago. No. This is my oldest daughter, Carissa, and her clan, which, let's see, there's everybody but Cordy?
It's over there. There's Kate.
Francis. Okay. Carissa and Nick, who is a physician. How long have you guys been married? 13 years.
Wow.
So they have 6 kids, 2 of whom are, I think, about to begin the adoption process. Almost done. No. And this is Molly, my youngest, and Annie, who was here with Ellen, and they lost Judah for a while, and Sky. They've left. They've had enough of being lost, I think. So this is dual family. And they run Africa Revolution Ministry.
Give it up for Judy Goldthrow. Judy Goldthrow. What a name. Goldthrow, that's a name. That's a cool name. I'm nothing, Jerry. You know.
Jerry and I have been married 7 years. We have 7 years.
7 years?
37.
Oh, 37.
Doing this very well. Hello. And Michael is here somewhere. His wife Lauren. And there's Addie and Caleb and Nathan and Malia. And then Amy and Zach, our daughter Amy and husband Zach. And they have Evan and Haley somewhere. Here's Michael. And Laura, they're coming. Laura is, and she is married to Andy, and there's Ethan, and Naomi, and Adela, and Brenna, so tough. And then our daughter Jenny couldn't make it, her husband Brian, they have Taylor and Trevor, and our daughter Suzanne is married to Scott. But here's the Eggers.
Oh, thank you very much.
I don't know.
All right.
There we go.
Because she's all mine. My bride of a long time. Hi, that was her. Okay, and then Katie is our oldest. Katie is married to Scott. Katie and Scott Garber. They live in Muncie, Indiana. And we have Natalie. Where's Isaac? And Isaac is out there somewhere. And Curtis Michael. Give it up for Curtis Michael. Yeah. Just a little over a year ago, Sean Michael Herwaldt, he's our German-Irish boy. We didn't realize Sean Michael was an Irish name until we named him that, and so he's a German with an Irish name. Give it up for Sean Michael. A little over a year ago, Sean got married to Kazlia Krieger, and Kazlia, I'll tell you what, many of you maybe have heard of the Krieger family band. She grew up in a very musical family. This is no joke. Her parents' generation, they had this thing called the Krieger Family Band, and they used to play polka all around Southwest Michigan.
Do you know?
In fact, they were the featured band at their wedding. They looked really old. They started out as teenagers. They look older now, but they're good still. All right, give it up for Kazlia. First time here at a Herwaldt reunion. And then Jake the Snake, who wanted to play into our
family, is that they've never been in outer space.
No.
Never been to the moon.
No.
Never been to the space station. Not a one of them.
Who would have thought? Because the way they act, sometimes they're way out there.
They are way out there, and I personally thought that they had spent a lot of time in outer space, but based on what we see here every 3 years, but never a second in outer space.
I know growing up, I can remember you and me and Bill and Tom talking about maybe NASA was getting some tips from, the Paul Herwaldt.
I thought that you remember the show Lost in Space. I thought to me that really described the Paul Herwaldt family. But,
okay. Keep talking about it.
Let me do this. Oh, he's going to get up. I'll introduce myself.
There you go.
Okay, I'm going to introduce my family first. We're trying to get some videos out on YouTube to see if it will work. So I'm Doug Herwaldt. This is my wife, Mary. We've been married 32 years. 30 years. This is my son, David, who's a junior in high school, and our other son is a freshman at University of Illinois. Let's go Illini. maybe someday we can actually beat Michigan State. That'd be really good. So that's our family. So my son David actually put some videos together, and we're going to try to see if we can show it to you. The first video is going to be, there's rumors in the room that my brother doesn't live in Alaska, so we're going to try to show you some pictures of Alaska, and hopefully let's see if it will work or not. So we're trying to get the connections out.
That will look like part of the fraud.
Because you got it up earlier, right? Yeah.
All right, in the meantime, Kathy, go introduce.
Well, we're missing one. Well, can't you bring the kids with her that she's watching?
Well, while we're waiting, I was wondering if you could come up with the states here in the United States where no Herwaldt has ever been a resident.
Alaska.
There for a whole year, so you're right. We still officially Hawaii, Louisiana. How about New Mexico? Any Herwaldts New Mexico ever?
Took a camera, David's camera with him, and filmed a bunch of videos of Alaska. So it's kind of neat. He put a little thing together. Yeah, this is enough footage to get my
39 years. I'll tell you the same. Kathy, guys, I'll just tell you real quick on what's going on. But I have two kids. My son lives in outside Chicago, works for the same company that Rick works for, and I stopped to have lunch with him on the way here. We got a daughter who has I have two grandbabies, and they live 5 minutes away, so I can see them all the time. My son-in-law is been out of work for a couple, 3 months. Got hired yesterday.
Now we're beginning. We'll open this morning with the beginning verses from Psalm 96. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless his name, tell of his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous works among all the peoples. For great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. And that is the God in whose name we gather this morning, and that is the God to whom we want to lift up our hearts and our voices in praise and worship.
Okay. So we sent a note and said the theme of our discussions this morning with Steve and Mark will be God is unchanging. Is that about right? So there's a song. When he said that, well, there's one song that came to my mind, and it's number 441 in your songbook, and probably a lot of you don't know it. Jen, are you going to play? Yeah. So it's called, I had to call my mom to get the title of it because I knew the chorus, but I couldn't remember the title of the song. Well, this is the title, Yesterday, Today, and Forever. So we're going to sing about 6 or 7 songs during the service. We'll open with 3 or 4, then I think Steve is going to speak first. Then we'll have a couple more songs, then Mark, where's Mark? Mark is here? Then Mark is going to share some time. We'll have a few more songs, and then Lee will come up and close us. But we're going to open with a few songs, and they each have requested one song, so we'll do the song that they requested right after they speak. So Steve requested one, and Mark requested one, so we'll do their request right after they share their devotion this morning. So we'll start with this one. How many of you know this? Oh, about 5. All right, well, the first time through, this is like prison. This is like prison. When we go to jail, I ask, how you guys know this song? And nobody knows anything. But it's amazing. Those guys can sing. So I expect you to do at least as well as the guys in jail.
And be a chorus for us to teach us all how to sing.
So I'm going to step aside from this because I'm going to sing along. So it's Yesterday, Today, Forever.
441, right?
441, yeah.
This is very loud.
Maybe I'll
Holy, holy.
stuff that's been impactful for me. Just having to play in with the theme that he set for today. Testing. Where we're headed is Hebrews 13:8. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. We just spent a weekend here, and it reminds me of a lot of reunions in the past, a lot of reminiscing. We remember. We've been blessed, haven't we? We really have been blessed. The faith of our fathers is a mighty thing to remember. You know, to see pictures of my father, to see pictures of my grandfather, to think of my father taking me aside and saying, there came a time when my father took me aside and said, I prayed for you and your brothers and sisters every day. And that's a heritage I'm passing on to you. Pray for your children. I think grandfather prayed for us also. In fact, I think that's why my father finally had to retire. His family got bigger and he had to pray more. He didn't have time to go to the factory anymore and make cars. He prayed a lot. It's a wonderful heritage. It's wonderful to reminisce, to celebrate, give thanks to God for the faith of our fathers. But I'm going to talk to you about faith for today. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. You know, the first thing I need to do, I realized as I thought about this, is make sure that we're talking about the same faith. You know, as a kid, I had faith in my father. And I'm talking now about Fred Herwaldt. I had faith that he would keep me safe, that he would protect me, that he would teach me the truth. That as long as I stayed close to my father, I was okay. I had faith in him. But you know what? That faith would not have reconciled me to God. That faith would not have saved my life. Different times in my life, I've had faith in the Detroit Tigers, that they'd win the pennant. More often than not, that faith was just false, wasn't true. Sometimes, a couple times they've won. Not normally. We can have different, faith is such a big word. We all have faith. You have faith that the chair you're sitting in is not going to collapse. It's going to hold you. We have faith, and it's often good. It seldom saves our lives, reconciles us to God. Object of our faith is really important as you understand what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about faith in God and His promises. I'm talking about faith that He sent His Son, Messiah, who bore our sins on the tree, who died for us, so that I can come to life spiritually, so that I can be reconciled to God, so that I can live. There's different kinds of faith. I'm going to tell you a little story. Quite frankly, a story that you know as well as I do. I'm going to have Ethan, one of the kids, come up and tell it. It'll take too long, so I'm going to tell it. From 1 Samuel 17. Anybody know what that is? David and Goliath. It illustrates what I'm talking about. You know, there are these two armies. The Israelite army, the army of God, is camped on one hill. And the Philistine army is camped on another hill. And who's got faith? You know, you look at the Israelite army, this is the army of God. You think, these are men of faith. And every day for 40 days, a champion comes out from among the Philistines and walks down into the valley between the two mountains and yells up at the army of God. Send a champion down. Let's settle this thing. If your champion wins, we will become your servants. If I win, you'll become our servants. The only problem is that the Philistine champion was Goliath, who was 9 feet tall. Now, I don't know how tall the average Israelite was. They were shorter than that. My guess is that I would be surprised if Goliath was about twice as big as most of the Israelites. So the Israelite army did an assessment. Each individual soldier, this is not exactly in the passage, but this is what happened. Each soldier took an assessment of his assets. I have armor, I have weapons, I have muscles, I am trained, I am seasoned, I am a soldier, I'm a good soldier. And it says Saul and all of his army was terrified. Nobody went to fight. Saul even sweetened the pot. He said, I'm going to give great wealth to anybody who does this. And they can marry my daughter. They can become royalty and not pay taxes for the rest of their lives. And I mean, they were terrified. Nobody went to fight Goliath. And then David comes. He's too young to fight in the army. He's a little kid. And he comes to bring some food to his 3 brothers who are in the army and some cheese for their commander. And he comes at the time when Goliath is shouting his taunt, his insult, really, the armies of the living God. And David's response is so interesting. He hears it. He says, who is this uncircumcised Philistine who is insulting the armies of the living God? He's incensed. He's furious. Oh, boy. Where's, like Ethan, stand down here compared to me. Ethan, let's fight. Right. Well, you know what David does? The story has more details, but effectively what David does is he insults Goliath. That's not the tactic I would have taken. He shouts at Goliath, I'm going to cut off your head. Then I would have snuck up on him and tried to sneak him. Then he just attacked him. He ran at him. He did a different assessment, didn't he?
Just a few things I'd like to share this morning about God, and really that song is very appropriate for what I was going to share this morning. Hebrews 13:8, Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. When I think of God in the future, I know one thing is for certain. God is already there in the future. He already knows the day I will die. He already knows the names of the children, of the people my children will marry. He already knows the names of my grandchildren, because he's already there. You see, in the realm of God, there is no time. God is yesterday, today, and forever. It says in Psalms 90, verse 4, it says, for 1,000 years in your sight are like yesterday when it passes by, or as a watch in the night. It says in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8, but do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. God has no beginning. There's never been a time when there was no God. God never ceased to exist, and he will have no end. He will always be living and immortal. There is no time with God. He is neither past nor future. Everything to God is present. We call that the eternal moment. So the God is now is the same God that has ever been, the same God that will ever be. It says in James chapter 1, verse 17, the Father of lights, with whom there is no change, nor shadow of alteration. That same God that who talked to Moses in the burning bush is the same God that I talk with, the same God my father talked with, the same God that my grandfather talked with, the same God that my grandchildren will talk with. God is love. We are good not because of our own greatness, but because we are created in God's image and likeness. He loves us far more than we can even imagine. He loves us even more than you, young ladies, love your own children. God gives us this beautiful world that we live in, the greatness of this camp and the beautiful trees and the black squirrels, which I haven't seen yet. I'm waiting to see a black squirrel out there. He takes care of our bodies and our souls. He showers benefits and graces on us day after day after day. He prepares and has prepared a place for us in heaven, where we will be reunited one day with with my parents. I know I'm looking forward to that. Above all, he loves us so much that he sent down, as you know, his only son to die for us. And to think about it for a second, that because God is beyond time, when Jesus was dying on the cross, he was already here in 2012. And he died for each of our sins that he knew we would be committing, because he was already here. He's all-knowing. There's nothing that we can keep from him. There's no secrets.